Hello, welcome to JavaScript course. In this section, we are going to be learning about variables in JavaScript. Before we start writing code, let us go through some theories. What is variables? Variables in JavaScript are named storage or containers for storing data values. Declaring variables in JavaScript. The following keywords are used to declare variables in JavaScript. The var keyword, the let keyword, and the const keyword. When to use var, let, or const keywords. Use the const keyword if the value stored should not be changed. Also use the const keyword if the type should not be changed in the case of arrays and objects. Use the let keyword if the value stored will change in the program. Only use var keyword if your application must support old browsers. JavaScript identifiers. Names given to variables, functions, objects, etc. are called identifier. Rules to follow when creating identifiers in JavaScript. All identifier names should be unique. That is, no two identifiers should have the same name. Identifier names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. Identifier names must begin with a letter, a dollar sign, or an underscore. Identifier names must not begin with a number or digits. Identifier names are case sensitive. For example, variables with small letter y and variable with capital letter Y are different variables. Reserved words like JavaScript keywords cannot be used as identifier names. Alright, before we start writing code, please click on the subscribe button and the notification bell to get new video updates whenever we upload. In our previous lesson, we were able to test our JavaScript code using a browser. The browser we used was Google Chrome. Once you go to a browser, what you commonly use is to type in a URL and search for a resource on the internet. Most of this resource contains JavaScript that is translated by the browser. The browser is made up of different layers. Alright, we have the area where you can search, which is more like the interface where you can type in your URL or search for a certain information using a search engine. And also below that interface is what is called JavaScript engine. The use of the JavaScript engine is to run JavaScript code, and all the browsers contains a JavaScript engine. The JavaScript engine that is contained in Chrome was extracted and separated to become a standalone application that can run JavaScript, and that platform is called Node and popularly referred to as Node.js. So here we are going to install Node.js and run our JavaScript code with it. Alright, to install Node.js in your system, search on the browser. Alright, hopefully your first search result is going to be what we are looking for. The website is nodejs.org. So once we click on it, and here on the screen we have two buttons, and we have download for Windows. Alright, so here, because I'm using Windows operating system, that is why it defaulted to Windows. So if you are Linux or Mac users, you are going to also be able to download Node.js. So here, if you're a Windows user, all you need to do is just click on the download button, and at the point of this recording, the version of Node is 18.16.1. Alright, so you can download and install on your machine and start testing or running your JavaScript application. Alright, so we already have Node installed on our system, so we are going to start writing code immediately. So back to our Visual Studio Code. Alright, so to make the menus and links visible, let me increase the size. Alright, do that again. Alright, here to create a file, JavaScript file in this case, we click on the file menu, then the new file link. Alright, so we can click on the Ctrl S. We can name our file app.js. Okay, so all JavaScript file ends with the extension .js. So I'm going to save. Alright, so let's just write some JavaScript. Here we are going to write a single line of JavaScript, console.log. Alright, here we are going to log or display just hello world to the screen. Hello world. So now, how do we run this JavaScript code with Node? So let us open our terminal. Alright, new terminal. Okay, so first we have to navigate to the location where we saved our file. So to do that, we do the cd command. So our file is located in our C drive within the tutorial folder. So that is the location where we have our file. First, before we run, let me first check if Node is installed on this system, and to do that, all you need to do is to type the word node --version. Alright, Node is installed on this system and the version is 18.12.1. so we've confirmed that, so we can go ahead and test our JavaScript code. So to test our JavaScript code, all we need to do is to type the word node and the name of the file, and remember that you have to be in the directory where the file is saved. So immediately we click on the enter, this is what we have, hello world. So we've just successfully run a JavaScript code using the Node platform. Alright, here let us outline what we are going to be looking at. Here we are going to be looking at how to declare variables. Alright, going to be looking at how to declare variables, rules of identifiers. Yeah, that's basically what we are going to be looking at. So now, like we learned in the theory, how do we declare variables? All right, we said we can declare variables with 3 keywords. So here we are going to be looking at them. So first, let's declare our variable using the var keyword. All right, let me increase the font of our code. Okay, I think this is better. To declare a variable, you use any of the keyword. Here I'm using the var keyword. Then the name of the variable. Let us name our variable, for instance, num, standing for number. All right, so you can name your variable just about anything you want, but most times name your variables the way you will remember them. All right, so it is possible for me to name this variable just as x or y, but sometimes you want to name it, let's say you want to deal with student number, you can just name it student num. Okay, of course this is more descriptive, and whenever you come to your code you easily can tell what you were trying to store. So I can say I'm storing 2, 3, 4, 5 as a student number. Let us also use the let to declare another variable. Let's say age to be say 18. All right, and we can also say const to be number of courses, right, and say number of courses is 6. All right, these are the possible ways you can declare your variable. Now this declaring variable this way is actually a whole way of declaring variables. All right, so these have some flaws. It is error prone when you declare variable using the var keyword. For instance, if I put my code within curly braces, this becomes a block of whatever code you have within these curly braces. All right, becomes a block of code. All right, so if you use the var keyword, this whatever code you have here will still be accessible outside the var keyword. So this is not really good, but with old browser you don't have a choice. This is what was there before this lets and consts came. So for older browser you can go ahead and use this, but for newer browser you can stick with the let keyword if this variable will change in the process of your application. All right, let's say you have a certain number that increases. Let's say you have count or counter, which is first saved, which one is first assigned, and during the course of your application, counter we have to grow to save 2, or counter we have to go to save 3. You see, you can't do this with the const, because once you use the const, you are saying that this number of course will remain 6 and will never change. All right, so let's do some tests with this. So now I'll do this. So let's console all these variables for us to see. So let's say console.log student number, console.log age, right? Console.log num of course. Okay, you can just say number of courses. Okay, it's good that your variable names are more descriptive. It's just the way we did before, and say node, all right, app.js, that's the name of the file. So here you see we display the 2, 3, 4, 5, the student number, 18, the age of the student, then number of courses 6. All right, so now what happens if we change the age, change it to 19? What happens if we run the same code? Here we have 19. All right, we have no problem. That's because we use the let. If we do the same thing with the var, we will not have error also. Let's try that. Let's change student num to now 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and when we run our code, this what happened: 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's no problem. So in the case of const, all right, so let's do num courses. Now let's change it to 7, and when we run this, we are going to get error. All right, look at this. We have a lot of error. Assignment to constant variable, all right, is an error. So our application is telling us we cannot do that. JavaScript engine knows what is right and what is wrong. So when you give it what is wrong, it's going to spit that out. All right, that's what just happened right now. So now let's look at some rules when declaring variables. In our theory, what we learned is that all variables should be unique. If I say num, I'll say number 1 should be 10, for instance. Then I shouldn't declare another variable as number 1. All right, so I must give it another name. See, this is already showing errors, all right, that you cannot do this. So if I change it to some other variable, this is what happens. Every variable should be unique. All right, so also, like we said, you can start your variable with underscore. You can start your variable with $, but you cannot start your variable with a number, this is an error. All right. Also, you cannot use JavaScript keyword as a variable. For instance, if it's a JavaScript keyword, const is a JavaScript keyword, you cannot use this as variables. Whenever you are writing code, you are going to be doing or writing a lot of variables. All right, so all the values, for instance, you are going to be using in your applications are going to be saved in your variables. All right, so for instance, your application, you have a calculator application that had multiply and divide two numbers. For instance, let's have these numbers constant. All right, number, let's say number 1 to be 20, just like number 2 const number 2 10. All right, so console.log number 1 plus number 2. All right, console.log multiply by number 2 number 1 divided by number 2. All right, once we run this code, first we save and run, and here we have all the values. Variables in JavaScript are case sensitive. Now let us show that with some code. Variable y and variable capital Y are two different variables. Here we are going to be looking at standard of naming JavaScript variables. All right, for instance, JavaScript or any other programming languages can have 3 different popular possibilities of naming variables, like using the camel case way of writing variables, or identifiers. We have camel case, we have Pascal case. All right, we have snake case. All right, so these are different ways we can write variables. So camel case is mostly used for JavaScript. All right, so, and that is what we've been using since we've been writing code. So camel case, for instance, let's use the student name as example. Let's say constant let Right, student name, all right. Here, this is Kame case. All right, why so is because the first word in Kame case begins with lower case, while the subsequent words begins with uppercase. As you can see here, the first word begins with lowercase, then name, which is the second word, begins with uppercase. So if there were to be more words in this variable, we will begin it with uppercase. For instance, if this were to be student name and surname, all right, it will be in this form. The difference between Kame case and Pascal case is that the first word, or rather all the word in Pascal case begins with uppercase letter. For instance, here we have, instead of lowercase, we have uppercase. Then for snake case, we have, all right, all the words starting with lowercase but separated with underscore. All right, so if we have more words, student name and surname,